Breaking the seals of amnesia. The alchemy of restoration is not a forward-moving progress, but a return to the original frequency of the mother. To break the seals of amnesia, one must recognize that the current global systems, from governance to spirituality, are built upon the revised frameworks of the Annunaki Council and the Hyksos usurpers. These frameworks were designed to trap the human consciousness in a linear timeline, detached from the eternal cycles of the Nile Valley wisdom. By identifying the specific mechanisms of this shift, we begin the process of reclaiming our sovereign heritage. This is the work of realigning the self with the primordial Ma'at, the cosmic order that existed long before the Skyfathers claimed the throne. Paragraph 11. The reversal of linear time. One of the most potent tools of the patriarchal shift was the implementation of linear time. In the original matriarchal societies of Kush and Tasseti, time was understood as spiral time, a continuous, rhythmic expansion that mirrors the growth of a shell or the rotation of a galaxy. Linear time, introduced through the Anunnaki and Hyksos influence, created a beginning and an end, which introduced the concepts of debt, sin, and scarcity. By trapping the human mind in a deadline mentality, the patriarchy successfully redirected our energy away from the present moment of creation and toward a future salvation or judgment promised by the 12 prophets. Paragraph 12. The geometry of the womb versus the grid. The architecture of our reality was also shifted. The matriarchal order utilized the geometry of the womb, often seen in the flower of life and other organic, overlapping circles found in ancient Nubian temples. This geometry represents interconnectedness and abundance. The Anunnaki influence replaced this with the grid of control, sharp, 90-degree angles and hierarchical pyramids that emphasize separation and containment. This grid is not just physical, it is a mental map that forces us to think in terms of boxes, borders, and levels, effectively sealing off our access to the fluid, expansive nature of the cosmic mother. Paragraph 13. The biological record, mitochondrial DNA. The true biological record of the mother was never actually destroyed, it was simply obscured. While the patriarchy emphasizes the father's name and the patrilineal surname, the living memory of our origins is carried in the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed exclusively through the mother. This biological fact is the physical evidence of the matriarchal foundation. The Anunnaki Hyksos revisionists tried to suppress this knowledge by elevating the seed of the father as the sole source of life. But the mitochondria remain the power centers of the cell, holding the unbroken frequency of the original Great Mother across generations. Paragraph 14. The suppression of the High Priestess. In the matriarchal era, the High Priestess, or the Kandake, was the oracle, the direct bridge between the people and the cosmic frequencies. She did not interpret the divine, she embodied it. The Anunnaki Council suppressed this role by introducing the priesthood, a group of male gatekeepers who claimed that the divine could only be accessed through their rituals and their translations. This created a spiritual dependency, making the people feel disconnected from the mother and reliant on a middleman to hear the word of a distant, demanding Father God. Paragraph 15. The language of light versus the language of law. The language of light. The original communication system of the Nile Valley based on vibration, color, and sacred geometry was replaced by the language of law. The Hyksos and their successors instituted scripts and decrees that focused on contractual obligations and punishment. While the language of light spoke to the heart and the cellular memory, the language of law was designed to engage only the analytical, fearful mind. To break the amnesia, we must return to the symbolic and rhythmic languages of the Kushite ancestors, which bypass the intellectual filters of the patriarchal grid. Paragraph 16. The return of the She-Ancient. The She-Ancient is the term used in some Nubian traditions to describe the primordial mother who exists outside of the forged histories. As the patriarchal masks of the Anunnaki and Hyksos begin to crumble under the weight of their own imbalance, the She-Ancient is returning, not as an external figure, but as an internal awakening. This is the collapse of the amnesia. People are beginning to feel the distortions in the 12 prophet narratives and are naturally gravitating back to the circular, nurturing wisdom of the mother, signaling the end of the era of dominion. Conclusion. The sovereign reclamation. Breaking the seals of amnesia is the ultimate act of sovereign reclamation. It is the process of stripping away the forged identities and revised cosmologies imposed upon us by the Anunnaki and Hyksos frameworks. By centering ourselves in the matriarchal frequency, the frequency of birth, nurture, and organic cycles, we exit the linear grid of control. We no longer look to the 12 prophets for guidance. We look within to the eternal Ma'at that was established at the first sunrise in the womb of Nut. The mother has always been here. We have simply remembered how to see her.